This video is not an attack, it's an invitation. I'm seeking a Christian scholar who can help answer a lot of questions about the Bible, questions that viewers kept asking me and I have no answer for. For example, this verse. It says that God prohibited us from eating insects that walk on four legs, except for some insects with four legs, like locusts and crickets and grasshoppers. We can eat those. But any other flying insects that walk on four legs is prohibited for us. These verses mention that insects have four legs several times, and they are not talking about a weird extinct species of insects in the past. No, it actually gives real examples. See, crickets, grasshoppers. And according to the official website of the National Park Service, insects have 6 legs, not 4. You can even count the legs of a cricket yourself. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Also a grasshopper. See, 6 legs. So the question is, why does it seem like God in the verse is saying that insects have 4 legs only while they have 6? I need an explanation on this because we all believe that God is all-knowing, right? Also in this verse, the Lord said to Moses that the hyrax chews the cud and the rabbit chews the cud. For those of you who don't know, chewing the cud means bringing up partly digested food from the stomach and chewing it again, like, cows and camels. But the problem is neither the hyrax nor the rabbit actually chews the cud. Of course, this is not a scientific mistake in the verse, no. But I really need an explanation on this because we all believe that God is all-knowing. To a layman, a rabbit might seem like it chews the cud, but it doesn't. And of course, God is not a layman. Also, Genesis reports that God decided that from now on, women and snakes will be cursed. Women will experience pain in childbirth, and the snake will eat dust. Today, we can see the childbirth pain, but we can't really see a snake eating dust. According to PetMD, they actually eat rats and birds. So did only one of the two curses work and the other curse didn't? Or I misunderstood the verse, please explain it. Genesis also reports that Noah had a pair of each animal species on his boat. But when I checked the official website of the National Library of Medicine, I discovered that there are about 7.8 million animal species. 7.8 million? How much time would it take for Noah to collect 7.8 million pairs of animals to put them on the boat? And how did he put all of them on the boat to begin with? And more importantly, how did he reach the species that lived in exotic, distant locations? Did he travel the world to collect all of them? Then these verses presented a mathematical challenge for me, because every time I used my calculator to add 30 plus 1000 plus 29 plus 30 plus 410 plus 1000, I got 2499, while the verse here says that the total is 5400. That's a difference of 2901 items. I doubted my calculator because we all believe that God is all-knowing, and God wouldn't make a mathematical mistake, right? Please help me understand the verse. Because I found another mathematical challenge in the next chapter. The verse says that the total number of people returning from Babylon was 42,360. But when I added all the family members listed in the verses from 3 to 60, I got the total of only 29,818. Also in the book of Nehemiah, my calculator gave me a total of 29,818 people, but the verse says 42,360. And that's a big difference. You know what? My calculator must be broken because definitely God wouldn't make a mathematical mistake, right? Also, according to the Gospel of Mark, the mustard seed is the smallest of all seeds on earth. But I thought that the smallest of all seeds is the orchid seed. It is so small, it can't even be seen by the naked eyes. But I'm sure that even if we as humans can't see it with the naked eyes, God still knows about it, right? Then Genesis 1 describes the order of creation as follows. Day 1, God created light. Day 2, God separated the water above from the water under by putting the sky in the middle. We will come back to this part later, it's very important. But day 3, God created the planets and trees. Day 4, God created 2 great lights. The sun, a great light, and the moon, another great light. Day 5, fish and birds. Day 6, animals, and finally Adam and Eve. So according to Genesis 1, that is the sequence of creation. And here I have a lot of questions. How did the planets and trees live on days 3 before the creation of the sun? Also, does this verse mean that there is water above the sky and water under the earth? Where exactly is that water? And why does it say that Adam was created last, while in Genesis 2, it seems like Adam was created first, before the plants and the trees? Why does Genesis 1 say that the heavens were created before earth, while in Genesis 2, it seems like the earth was created before the heavens? And why does this verse call the moon a great light like the sun? I found the same meaning in Matthew. The moon will keep producing its own light until the day of judgment. Also in Mark, I thought that the moon doesn't actually produce any light, it's just a reflection. You know what? Let's just focus on this idea. The idea that God created the sky to separate water from water. Because I also found it here, waters above the sky. The heavens are like a canopy or a tent. And the same here. Does that mean that the sky is like a dome above us, saving us from the unlimited water above it? Does that mean that the verse is talking about a flat earth? Because after reading these verses, it was very hard for me to imagine it in any other way. Here it says that the devil took Jesus above a mountain to show him all the kingdoms of the world. How can you see all the kingdoms of the world from one high mountain if the earth is a globe? It seems like that could only happen on a flat surface, unless there is another explanation. Is this why this verse is saying that people will come from the ends of the earth? Because I always wondered, where are those ends of the earth? Also here, see, the ends of the earth. Isaiah described it in more details. He said, from the 4 corners of the earth. 4 corners? When I read all of these verses together, it sounded to me like they are describing a flat, square earth with unlimited water above the sky and unlimited water under the earth. Or maybe I'm wrong. But then I read the book of Revelation and I discovered that there are 4 corners of the earth and there are 4 angels standing on those 4 corners of the earth. Also, when I read Jonah's journey in the belly of the fish, he said that they swam down and went under the root of the mountain. And the only way a fish could go from the sea to under the mountain is if we believe that there is a vast water under this square, flat earth, and this unlimited water is somehow connected to the seas and oceans. And of course, we will have to ignore the fact that the mountain roots are actually going very, very deep in the mantle, like pegs. I kept thinking about it until I found this verse. It says that the earth is the Lord's and everything in it, for he founded it on the seas and established it on the waters. Also this, God spread out the earth upon waters. God said, let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water. He made the vault to separate water under from the water above it, and he called the vault sky. Tell me if I'm imagining it correctly based on the verses or not. Also, there are some verses that seem to imply that the mountains are the columns holding the sky from falling. Like this, for example, the pillars of heaven tremble. The earth shook and the foundations of the heaven trembled. Even here, God made the sun stand still over a city and the moon stand still over a valley, as if they were rotating around the earth to begin with. Of course, we all know that the earth is not a flat square with 4 corners, with an angel holding each corner to save it from the wind. We know that mountains are not holding up the sky from falling on us, and we know that there is no unlimited water above the sky and there is no unlimited water under the earth connected to the seas and oceans. This is why I really need a very knowledgeable scholar to help me understand what those verses are saying without adding or removing anything to the text of the verses. I need someone to explain the verses as they are. Also, this verse describes clouds as bags holding water which will burst open to provide rain. According to the Bible study tools, the cloud is like a sack or a bag or a garment or a skirt of a man's coat. Gill's exposition commentary says the same thing. The verse makes me imagine the cloud the same way I imagine a plastic bag holding water or a balloon filled with water, because it will only rain when it bursts open. I need a scholar to help me out in person because the scholar in the commentary strengthens the idea of the balloon in my head. Also check out this table. It uses the age when each father begot his son to calculate the total number of years between Adam and Solomon according to the Bible. It has the verse numbers used in every calculation if you want to revise after me. The total number of years calculated are 2,933. And since Solomon's temple is typically dated around 966 BCE, and we are recording this video in 2025, we can simply add all of these numbers together and get the total of the age of humanity. It seems like Adam was created 5,924 years ago. And this made me wonder, because how come we have a full history of civilizations who lived before that specific date? Like for example those in ancient Egypt, or Mesopotamia, or the Indus Valley in Pakistan, or ancient China. We need a scholar to explain these verses for us because we all know that God is all-knowing, right? By the way, before the advancement of modern science, people had very interesting theories about how babies are created inside the mother's womb. One of them was very prominent. It was held even by Aristotle himself. It's known as the cheese analogy of conception. They believed that just as rennet curdles milk to make cheese, human semen also curdles the woman's blood to make a baby. Aristotle thought that this is why the menstrual blood stops during pregnancy, because the blood keeps clotting and clotting with the help of the rennet-like semen to form parts of the baby. Some blood will become the hand and some blood will become the face and so on. The most famous scientists of that time believed in this theory, including Hippocrates, Aristotle, and Galen. That's totally understandable, especially during time when science hadn't yet developed. What I didn't expect finding was these verses in the Bible that seems to be holding the same position. Job said to God, "Your hands shaped me and you made me. Didn't you pour me out like milk and curdle me like cheese? Then you give me skin and flesh and finally knit me with bones." Could it be that the author has been influenced by the old cheese conception theory? Why does it say that the bones came after the skin and flesh? Of course, this is not a scientific mistake, no, because God is all-knowing. But I really need a Christian scholar to help me understand how babies are created according to the Bible. It says it's hurtful to drink always wine. Of course, but it also says that it's hurtful to always drink water. I always thought that it was healthy to drink water every day. I thought there is nothing hurtful about that, right? Can a Christian scholar please explain to me why is it wrong to always drink water? Also, it says to use sometimes the one and sometimes the other. It seems like the verse is saying that it is healthier to drink sometimes wine. But the World Health Organization said that no level of alcohol consumption is safe for our health. And I am torn between the World Health Organization and the Bible. The New Testament says, stop drinking only water, use a little wine. But the World Health Organization said that no level of alcohol consumption is considered safe for our health. So please help with that. The Bible says, go eat your food and drink your wine with a joyful heart. God has already approved what you do. Isn't that bad for our health? Please explain. And then I want you to explain to me the ritual of purification that is present in Leviticus. The verse says, he shall purify the house with the bird's blood. One bird has to be killed, and then another bird is dipped in the blood of the first bird. Finally, you take the mixture and sprinkle it on the house 7 times. The question is, isn't that bad for our health? Will that really purify the house? Wouldn't that just fill the house with deadly germs? Please explain. Then explain to me this chapter in the book of Numbers. It describes the test for any unfaithful wife. If a man doubts his wife but he has no proof, he takes her to a priest. The priest mixes holy water with dust from the floor in a clay jar. He writes a curse on a parchment and washes the ink into the water. Then he makes her drink the holy water mixed with floor dust and ink. The text says that if her abdomen swells, it proves that she is guilty. And my question is, couldn't her abdomen swell just because she was drinking dirty water, water filled with ink and dust from the floor? Couldn't her abdomen swell anyway whether she was guilty or not? Please explain. And last but not least, in Mark 16, it says that people who believe in Jesus will have these new abilities. They can cast out devils, they can speak in new languages that they have never previously learned, snakes can't kill them, and poison doesn't hurt them. Also, they can heal the sick. I have known many people throughout my life who deeply believe in Jesus and worship Him every day, but I have never seen any of them possess any of those powers. None of them spoke new languages that they never learned in school. None of them can drink poison without hurting them. Even some pastors who believed in this verse and tried handling snakes didn't make it. Neither did those who tested the poison doesn't hurt them statement. So I really need a scholarly explanation on this because I can't understand it. And guys, as you can see, throughout this whole video, I didn't ask any questions about what is clearly metaphors or poetic language or miracles. Because yes, I believe in God and I believe in miracles. I have no problem in them. And I think I can tell the difference between symbolic verses and statements that seems to describe real physical information, especially when these verses appear to conflict with some modern science. And I'm recording this to ask for an explanation from a knowledgeable Christian, of course while sticking to the text without adding or removing anything from it. And meanwhile, until we get our answers, I want to tell you that in my last video, I asked nearly 100 questions about verses that seems to be in contradiction with each other. You definitely should check it out. Click up here or on the link in the description, but before you go, remember that you can help us out simply by helping this video reach those who need it the most. جزاكم الله خيرا. سلام عليكم.